was stunned at your comment, John. I was absolutely stunned to hear you say that we're going to stuff this down your throat whether you like it or not. That's just so arrogant. I just don't have words for it, so I'll not try. But I was stunned. I can't believe you did that. I looked at all the issues that were brought to us around this whole situation. The cost to the city and the issues with our current financial situation. 2 years from now, when we're supposed to cough up hundreds of thousands of dollars, we're still going to be in a very difficult financial situation. This recession is not going away in 2 years. I look at our businesses. 6 months of construction on that road out there at a time when our businesses are reaching the very bottom of their financial reserves. I used to be a wildlife biologist, and it's like that snowstorm that takes place in March and kills off half your deer herd just before the spring grass comes out because they've lost all of their reserves. And our businesses are kind of like that right now. They're going to be at the bottom of the hill for those reserves, and we're going to put 6 more months of construction out there in front of them at a time when they absolutely can't afford it. We're going to sever their driveways. We're going to clutter up the street in front of them with tractors and those things. Enough just to push them over the brink, potentially, and we have to think about them. I look at the redevelopment plan that we're trying to do to address what we want to do with that road as a community before we start doing major things like lights to it. I look at the possibility of creating special improvement districts that might address the issue of where money might come from for medians, for undergrounding all those ugly light poles and wires that ought to go underground and clean up that road. There's a possibility, but those take time. And you're telling us we don't have any time. I look at what I think is a real clear question of whether you really have the money to do this or not. You didn't answer my question tonight. You gave me a flim-flam, which is pretty clear. I think you did answer it, really. You don't have the money. You're not sure it's there. You're hoping it's there 2 years from now. But I think it was pretty clear to all of us that the lack of an answer was an answer indeed in itself. What really surprised me was when I realized what's going to happen to all those big trees along 89A when you put that trench through there. You can talk about boring, you can talk about other things, but the reality is most of that's going to be done with a backhoe or a cutter that's going to cut the roots of those major trees, and you cannot replant them. I know every engineer thinks that they're in charge of the world, but you can't replace a lot of things that are out there. If you look at those photos that I had up there tonight, those are only a fraction of what's out there that is going to be lost and cannot be replaced. You don't grow a 10-inch tree in this climate on that road overnight. You can't put one back there. They'll simply be gone. And that, too, in the daytime, will forever change the nature of West Sedona. I listened to your answers about dark sky compliance, and I know you didn't give me one. You hedged and you fudged and you talked about fixtures, but you did not talk about applications, because we both know there is no such thing, there is no standard, there is no criteria for dark sky compliance at all. There's no definition of it. There's no standard, no criteria that is brought by any group about that application in the system, because it's a combination of things that have to do with bulb size and distance above the ground and how much bounce comes up, and you don't have standards and measurements. There really is, truly, no such thing as dark sky compliance in terms of the system that you put in. It's only the singular light fixture that ignores the bulb and everything else that's in there. When you add all those things up, it doesn't lead you to one of these choices on your massive spreadsheet. It doesn't lead you to choose option 27 or 36 or whatever. What it leads you to is a question of why. Others have asked that question tonight. Why? Why are we doing this? This is not an unsafe road. There's a stretch there to be addressed, but the data is very clear. You've heard it, I've heard it. We know that. The question is why? What problem are we trying to solve? A safety problem? No, we're not trying to solve a safety problem. Are we trying to improve nighttime access to our businesses to raise the amount of money that the city gets? No, we know that's not going to happen. It's always true when you hear data rejected. People ignore data, they ignore facts, they ignore logic, they ignore rationality. Whenever you see that, you automatically know there's a hidden agenda. I've tried, since this has been going on, trying to figure out what is the hidden agenda, and I really don't know what it is. I just can't figure it out. So I'm not going to get drawn into your trap. Your trap tonight was come here and talk about solution 27 or 36 or something like that. That was a trap that you were trying to set. It's a trap you're trying to set on November 5th, too. I won't get drawn into it. And I think you'll probably find a lot of residents in Sedona are not going to get drawn into that discussion of, option X or option Y. That is a trap. It's a narrow trap. And that's the one you want to get us drawn into, and I won't play your game. As I said in the beginning, I was stunned that ADOT has that attitude. I'm stunned that the Federal Highway Department has that attitude. I'm stunned that that consultants would associate with that attitude. But you're never too old to learn. I learned something tonight about what you folks are about. Thank you.